name is Mark and welcome to my channel. Join me all year round, week in, week out, come rain or shine, and together we'll be fishing for pleasure. The rod, the reel, the float, the weight, the hook link, the bait. That's a paternostered roach. The alarm. Tactic number 2, the rod. The same reel, the float, 20 gram zipper, drill bullet, the trace, the bait. That's rod number 2, tactic number 2. Will that be the one? The alarm. Tactic number 3, the rod. Same reel on all 3. Same line on all 3. 30 gram Zeppler float. Drill bullet, the trace, the bait. Tactic number 3 be the killer. Alarm number 3. Vintage. Well close to 20 years old. Reliable now as it was when it was brand new. Tactic number 3. Morning troops, another day, another river, and today is all about trying to catch a monster pike. Now I'm not knocking anyone else, that's not what I'm about. You see a lot of things about catching monster pike, in pursuit of monster pike. What is a monster pike? That's all I'm going to say. In my opinion, monster pike is anything 25 upwards from a river. There's not many 20s, don't get me wrong, I'm not belittling 20s. The few and far between on our waterways these days are open access rivers and drains and canals. But to me a 20-pound pike is a big pike. And in the context of where you catch it, it could be a huge pike. But an actual monster, I think you've got to be in the realms of the 25 and up. Now you have a 30, that's a monster pike. You have a 23, is it? I mean, in the context of where you catch it, it could be, but to me that's a big pike or a huge pike. A monster, yeah, it's the word monster. I think that's in the realms of impossible dreams, I would say, for some of us. I've said it before on this channel, I've had 2 in 50 years of piking, 30s. They're not easy to come by, and they're both from rivers. They're not easy to come by. You know, if you're fishing a trout reservoir or whatever, yeah, you know you're going to catch them. But you know, our last session we had a small fish about 6-7 pounds, and half of its back was, well not half of it, a big chunk of its back had been chewed out by a otter. There's all sorts of pressure, angling pressure, predator pressure, everything, environmental pressure, you know what I mean, fish kills, oxygen level, the list is endless for a pike to become a monster. So they don't give them up easily. So we've had a tough 2025. We've caught fish. New Year's Eve we had a 20. I called that a huge pike because in the context of where it was caught from, I thought it was quite huge. But monster pike, that's what we're after today. You know, the chances are, hopes are like that, the chances are like that, but there is a chance. That's the whole point. That's why I'm fishing here. Now if you're in search of monster pike and you want to catch one from a river or a drain, there's only a few venues you're going to get one, and this one can throw them up. So today is not about catching loads of fish. Hopefully we will. Today is hoping, with 4 weeks left of the season, 3-4 weeks left of the season, we can winkle out a big girl, and I mean big. Smiling for a week big. But yeah, so that's what we're after today. I'll go through me rigs and rods and everything and the swim choice once the light levels get up. It's still pretty dark, believe it or not. I've chosen today a shallow bay. Well, it's a bend. The bay's around there. There's a bay downstream, there's a bay upstream. Now I'm on the bend. It's a shallow bend. And the reason I've picked the shallow bend today is in this really cold weather, shallow water does actually get colder. But if it gets bright and the sun comes out, when's the last time that happened? The water warms up quicker, and then you tend to get the fry in there, and then you'll tend to get the pike chasing. That's my theory. Whether it pays off or pans out is entirely different. Plus, I'm in a swim that no one's fished. Well, it definitely hasn't seen any real pressure. There's hardly any boot marks anywhere. The bank down by the river where it's sludgy and muddy has been undisturbed. There's no one's horrible size 9s have been stomping through there. So I'm hoping that it is a bit of a gamble, because I've fished this swim a few times over the years. I've had fish, I've had big fish, but I haven't had a lot of fish. You know, so it's one of those swims where you could sit there all day, maybe get one run, but it could be a big one. So that's me thinking behind today's swim choice. It's 3 degrees at the moment, overcast, gentle breeze, gentle flow to the river. It's run off a lot last night by the looks of it. I would have expected it to be a foot or two higher, but then on the plus side, they might not run it off today if it's this low. So without further ado, stop gassing, Mark. Get the kettle on, let's catch some pike. You could say it's quite featureless, this swim. No obvious fish holding areas out in front of me at all. But it's not running off. There's no pressure on the current. There's no pressure on the fish. Just a big open shallow bay where I'm hoping if it goes on past seasons, the prey fish will be here. Right hand rod. paternostered roach, single circle hook. Middle rod, half a herring, mounted on size 8 semi-barbless trebles. Left hand rod, whole sardine, mounted on size 6 semi-barbless trebles. I've got to watch out, there's a weed bed out there just in front of me. It's keeping low. Hugging the bottom. Fighting well. I don't think it's that big, to be honest. I could be wrong. I'm wrong. It's a decent fish. And swim choice has paid off. It just goes to show you that wasn't a huge bite from a big fish. I don't think it's a monster, but it ain't. You wouldn't want it for a wart on the end of your nose, that's for sure. Oh, that's a beauty. We'll get that weighed, that's worth weighing. Ain't ya? You're worth weighing, ain't you, girl? Yep. Let's have a look at her. There's something else down there. Somebody else's trace. That's not mine. That's not mine. We'll get that out of you, girl, don't worry. Got it. It's alright, darling. It's alright. I got it. There you go. I have to have a big tidy up of all the gear. It's everywhere. It's in me sling and everything. That's in my hand. But small price to pay for the fish's well-being. Go on, girl. We'll put you in the mat, recover you for a little while. I haven't had time to pair it, so it's £3 off for the sling. £17 on the button, £3 off for the sling, that's £14. Oh. Well, we're off to a good start, not as big as I thought, £14 on the button. She had another trace in her, got that out as well. So she's all good to go, just going to show her to you and then we'll get her home. I thought she was bigger, but oh, she weren't. Still got good appetite on her. £14 on the nose. Way the mugshot. We're going to put her in the sling and we're going to leave her for a little while to recover. You know, I had her on the bank. She's got a bit of a tail missing as well. Look, the otters have really been chasing these fish down. Look at her back. We'll get her back and hopefully get one double the size. Well, I had to put a lot of pressure on there on my trace to get the other trace out. So let me straighten me out. Bit of a tart, and yeah, I had to put a lot of pressure on my trace to get the other trace out as well. So what I'm going to do, or I do, is whenever there's been, wasn't that difficult to be honest. You know, if you've been doing it as long as I have, you learn a trick or two, and you know, I got it out quite quickly and quite painlessly. But put a lot of stress on the gear. So what I'm going to do is the end 3 meters going to cut off, wind up, dispose of correctly, and set up that rod again. New trace, new everything. It's the only way to be sure. You don't want any mistakes. Now, I'm not having a go at whoever. The trace looked perfectly adequate to me. There was no line on it, so I couldn't tell whether the line was inadequate. It could be anything that caused a snap off like that. It's not always the angler's fault, so you know, but when you catch a big girl, give her a good check over, make sure there's nothing left behind from any other visits, and she's gone back healthy, wealthy and wise, and we'll get this rod set up. We're off the mark, troops. Let's crack on. Let's get this monster we're after. Well, troops, 10 o'clock update. At least we've got something to update for a change. We had a little bit of interest on the left-hand rod, the whole sardine. I saw the float jag twice, quite violently. Got down to the rod really quick. Nothing. No sign of life. So I gently wobbled. I could feel when I was gently wobbling there was no bait on. So yeah, nicked the sardine, soft bait, nicked it. 10 minutes later, the middle rod, that went same way. So it might have been the same fish, but you can never tell with that. It's just guesswork. You never know what's going on underneath there unless you've got a camera, do you? And you know, it weren't a great run or a violent take or anything, it was just a gentle, you can see the float moving, but that was all. So I went down, and then you got a decision to make. Is it weed? Because there is weed flowing down the river as it's running off. Or is it a fish? It looked like a fish to me, so I struck into it, and luckily enough it was. £14 on the button. Had an old trace in there. We got that out, returned her safely. And it says now it's 10 o'clock. The river stopped running off, and it's back filling now, so it's filling up. It's getting slightly deeper here, and the wind's come from nowhere. It's like a sheet of glass earlier. Now it's got a lovely ripple on it. So it's a breeze coming across me. Hopefully, water depth. It's already gone up a foot. We can see from the far bank. Doesn't take long to backfill here, so stopped running it off. It's backfilling. Hopefully, they don't start running it off again. Hopefully, that's done for the daylight hours, and they'll run it off tonight. But even though we've only been fishing 2 hours, where I've been walking to meet each individual rod, it's getting really boggy, really difficult to, boots are getting sucked right into the mud. So I'm just going to reposition all my rods a little bit, just so I can walk to and from the rod safely and return any fish safely. So I'm just going to adjust them now. That gives me my recast anyway, my half hour, 40-minute recast. So I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And hopefully that 14 will be the first of many big ones. So started off saying, what's a monster? That's what I want, a monster. I want something 25 plus. And we're running out of time for the river season to get it. Let's catch some pike. Method 4. Ledger dead bait. Gripper lead. Leisure boon. Buffer bead. Trace. Simple, basic, running ledger. Method 4. Alarm and bobbin. Let's go for it. Whoa, not much happening, troops. Not much at all, really. You know, I've been working the baits, working the swim, and as I said this morning, it's one of those days where I'm going to sit it out and wait for the big girl. Might not happen, but at the moment we ain't seen much action. Keep rotating the baits. Might even rotate the rods actually now. Might move me paternoster into the middle and put that half a herring down the margin, see if there's any big girls patrolling the margin. But you've got to be careful. There's a reed bed that runs about 15-20 metres, about 10 metres out, so you've got to watch yourself when you're reeling in. You've got to make sure you get your rod up high and get that kit out of the way, otherwise you're going to get caught up in it. Yeah, so I say it's not. So, hang on, stop press. I think that big yellowy orangey ball that we ain't seen for weeks has popped its head out of the clouds. Oh my god, I haven't seen the sunshine for ages, and just as quick as it came out, it's gone. Yeah, so we have nothing a lot's happened. Club bailiff came past, so we had a good old chat. Always good to see a club bailiff. I don't know if anyone notices or reads the descriptions of my videos, but I always leave a link for the club, Boston and District, in the description. So if you want to buy a season permit, get on their website. It runs from yearly, not seasonally, so it runs from January through to December. So if you're thinking of fishing some of the waters that I fish, get on that website and buy your permit. do the club a favour and give them some coffers, much needed coffers. Then I run into a subscriber, so that was nice. We had another chat, so it's not been too bad. Just had a nice hot cup of oxtail. And yeah, so I'm thinking about rotating the rods rather than the baits. So it's a strange one today. It's not backfilling anymore. It has been running off, but only a gentle meander. And with the wind blowing the opposite way to the flow, it looks pretty benign, like it's still, but it's not. It's still gently running off because the water levels have gone back down a foot again. So from when I've got here, they've risen a foot and dropped a foot. Just goes to show you the amount of water that goes in and out of this river every day. All the drains, you know, to drain, keep us flood free. Keep looking around, hoping and hoping that one of them floats are going to go, but at the moment, no cigar. There's a bitterly cold wind, as you would expect in February, I suppose, but yeah, it's a cold one today. And I just realised my wellies have got holes in them. They don't make things last like they used to years ago, do they? It's cracked, they've cracked a bit, so yeah, so I was sitting there tucked up behind the umbrella, out of the wind, with my feet poking out, and I could actually feel the wind blowing through the welly. So that's no good, is it? We'll have to replace them. So let's crack on. Let's see if we can catch something. I really hope we do. I mean, we're putting in the hours. I always find this river fish is better at the beginning of the pike season rather than towards the end. But you've got to counterbalance that with the pike are not at their best weight at the beginning of the season. So if you can locate the pike and track them down this time of year, you should get yourself a decent one. Well, we've sat here in the cold and it has been cold. That wind's been cold today. Waiting on the off chance we get a bite from a big girl, and absolutely nothing has happened all day. We had a bit of interest in the left hand rod. We had a fish on the middle rod all before 9 o'clock. And we've sat here the rest of the day waiting for a big girl to put in an appearance, and it hasn't happened. No, it's been a long, hard, drawn-out day, and we're still waiting. Well, I reckon we've got about half hour before it gets dark, if that. Although there's not much cloud around. The cloud is completely broken up in the last hour or two. It's going to be a lovely evening. Maybe it'll stay a bit lighter, a bit longer, but yeah. Well, that's the thing, you see. You set your stall out, and are you going to fish for multiple fish? If there was, I could have packed up and moved further up, you know what I mean, and worked my way down the stretch. Or you're setting your stall out for something huge, monster pike. If you are, you've got to put the hours in. You've got to hold fast on waters, you know, they're present. There's no there's no point fishing a stretch where you know they're not. But you know what I mean, you could have half a dozen fish somewhere else. Keep warm. Because I'm telling you, it's cold. But yeah, so we've gone for it for today, and you know, it hasn't happened yet. There's still a chance. I've changed things up again. I even put a leisure rod out so I could explore more of the river, fish a lot further out, far bank, mid-channel. The water's dropped down a good 2 foot this afternoon, so it's 3 foot down on what it was when I arrived. Has that played a part? I don't think so. My baits are presented in, you know, 8-10 foot of water, so it's not a lack of depth there. I'm hoping, as always, you get a lot of activity from the prey fish come the evening time, and I'm hoping that we get that electrifying run. It'll result in something to put a smile on their faces. I'm not going to say goodbye yet. I'm going to catch a pike. I'm determined to catch another one for the camera. And just as suddenly as the wind started up this morning, it's like a switch, it's cut off again. Look at it, still as anything. What we need is a run though, to make all this hard work well, I mean, it's worthwhile anyway, don't get me wrong. Sitting on a riverbank, I don't think there's anything better in life, but this is the time you want to bite. The witching hour. Be dark in 15-20 minutes. We want a big one now, while we can still show her off to the camera in perfect lighting conditions. Well, troops, that's the end of that one. We set our stall out for something big. Didn't quite work out. We had a lovely fish, 14 pound. But that was very, very early in the morning. And it's been a hard, cold, long day without any joy. But if you want to set your stall out to catch specimen fish on a river, especially, you've got to be prepared to put in a lot of hard work and a lot of hours. It don't come easy. They're few and far between. You've got to put in the effort and the time. Now, you do get your rewards eventually, not always straight away, but you do eventually. Today wasn't that day, but we'll go again. Thanks for watching, troops. Tight lines, and I'll see you on the bank real soon.